Okay.
All right. I feel like we're live this time. Yeah.
I can't get this to. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like we are going to be.
Are we live?
Live. You know what? I'm pretty sure.
Are we live?
You are now. We are now.
Okay. Well, happy Thursday. Let's try this again.
Take 3.
And
That's it.
welcome everyone to another Good Girlfriends chat. We are not going to let anyone defeat us in discussing our topic tonight. So I am Cara Dunstan, and I'm going to introduce our special guests, and then our other co-hosts will introduce themselves. We have Shanae Robinson with us, and she is the professional credit diva. And I'll just say that I met Shanae at my current job. She was literally the first person I met after on my first day of work, and she was such a blessing to me because she welcomed me to the company with open arms, and I just knew that she was always going to remain in my life. She's since moved on to bigger and better things, but our relationship continues to this day. And so we're excited to have her tonight to talk all things credit. And I will move on to Marcy. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Marcia Penn, or Marcy. So I'm just grateful to be here for another great Thursday and for us to share some more fantastic information, because surely all of us need to be credit worthy.
Yeah.
Juanita?
I am Juanita Tubman. I usually just say Juanita, like Prince, one name. So yeah, I'm really excited. I've been at the high end, I've been at the low end, and right now I'm in the middle. So credit is definitely something that happens in life at different stages of your life that you need help.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeanette. Welcome to our virtual living room. I'm very happy for our returning guest and co-host. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm excited about the topic. Before we started, I said many of us, this show should be our largest view, because your credit is something that can hinder you or help you. So I'm excited about the topic. I will say, as I always say, we are not experts. We are just good girlfriends coming together, sharing information as good girlfriends do, loving on each other, and glad to have you here. So I'm ready to jump into our topic.
Yeah, so to start, I just thought at least I would share my thoughts around credit. And if anyone else would like to share, that would be great. For me, I have never been afraid of credit, but I thought I understood at least some of the power of credit and keeping good credit, a decent credit score. So was never afraid to have credit. But now I'm definitely overextended in credit, so I need to learn some things. But I've tried to utilize credit to to build my own wealth, and it's helped in that process. But I need to figure out some ways to get out of some of my debt. So I'm looking forward to this discussion tonight.
Awesome. Do you other ladies, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me, for having me to the Good Girlfriends conversation. I am so excited, to be here and share with you guys and the rest of Facebook what I know about credit, how we can, use it to help us. So many of us growing up, we didn't talk about credit around the dinner tables like a lot of our counterparts did. And when we did talk about it, it was always in a negative, form and everything. And growing up, that's what I thought, credit was bad. It just equals debt. Stay away from it. pay in cash. Cash is king. But I've come to learn that one, cash is king, but credit is power. Money talks, but credit carries a conversation. And credit can get you in the door of so many places that, cash can't even get you to. So credit is definitely, power, and you can build wealth with credit, especially once you understand how credit works. It's just like with anything. Once you understand the rules of the game, then you can win at that particular game.
Awesome.
So, do you guys have any questions for me, or what?
I have a basic question because I don't think I ever really knew this. I've always known I wanted to keep as high a credit score as possible, but what is considered the credit score to strive for? I mean, I think 800 is the highest, right?
850.
850 is the highest. Well, what's one that will get you A plus rates? Like
anywhere, if you have anywhere actually between like a 750 to a 850 credit score, then you definitely qualify. At the commercials where it says, no credit, no, what is it? No, zero interest, and everything else. But at the bottom it says, for well qualified, buyers. That puts you in the well qualified buyers category. Okay. So 750 to 850 is definitely considered to be excellent credit. 800 to 850 is exceptional credit. Okay. And, but anything, once you at least get over 700 and above, then you're in pretty good, standing and everything else. Once you get to 800 and above, then a lot of times you don't have to show proof of income or anything. You're just able to walk in, walk out, you write the ticket, you carry the conversation, tell them your terms.
Awesome. I have another question. So if you have, so what credit, or which agencies or
you want FICO,
Karma, which ones of those do you recommend to find out what your credit score is on a regular basis without you being deemed for checking your credit? Like, I'm just wondering if there's places you can check your credit on a regular basis that affect your credit score.
Well, anytime you pull your own credit, you never affect it.
Oh, okay.
So no matter what, as long as you're the person that's pulling your credit, it won't affect it. A lot of times when you go someplace to be pre-approved and things like that, it'll tell you will not affect your credit score. The rule of thumb is as long as they only ask for the last 4 digits of your social, then your credit score is not affected. If they ask for your full social, then that's a hard inquiry. And although inquiries only make up 10% of your credit score, that's still 55 points.
Yeah.
That can be affected. But as long as you check your own credit score, you're fine. Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, Credit Wise, those scoring models, they are Vantage scoring models. They're Vantage 3.0 scoring models. And what that is that FICO, which is used across the world, basically, is the most common used credit scoring model. However, they have a license on it. So it's the Fair Isaac Corporation. They have a license on that FICO scoring model. And it's 5 components that make up that scoring model. So and so you have to pay. So what the 3 credit, and so we know them as credit bureaus, right? And when you say credit bureaus or anything bureau, you think government agencies like, the FBI and things like that. They are actually credit reporting agencies. So they are privately owned companies that are in business to make money. They are not government agencies at all. And so the 3 credit reporting agencies, the big 3, the main 3, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, what they said is that we don't want to pay to use that credit system. So what they did is they made their own system. Being as though FICO had the model on lock with the 5 scoring components, what they did is they added another one. So they added collections. So it's your history, your usage, your how you pay your debt, your mix of credit, your inquiries, and everything. So what they did is they added collections. So Vantage, so Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, Credit Wise, all of those, they use the Vantage scoring system. And so it's 6 components. FICO does not recognize paying off your debt or anything like that. They don't give you points for paying off a debt. So they don't consider your collections at all. So that's where the difference comes in when you check Credit Karma and Credit Karma says you're at a 700, but then you go and you apply for a credit card and they say, no, you're at a 590 or something like that. That's where the difference come in, because they don't measure with 6 components. They only measure with 5. And being as though FICO is the most commonly used scoring models. Now they have different scoring models, FICO 2, FICO 3, FICO 8, FICO 10, but FICO 8 is the most common. That's the most commonly used scoring model. But different industries like the automobile industry, the mortgage industry, they use kind of like a combination of the different scoring models, and some of them use their own algorithms as well, like the mortgage company.
Mm-hmm.
When they check your credit for underwriting for a mortgage,
mm-hmm.
they check your credit for underwriting for a mortgage. It's like stuff that you don't even remember that you had or anything like that, because they're actually able to dig deep. And so my rule of thumb with Credit Karma and everything else is you get what you pay for, which is nothing. And that is because they are actually a pay-per-click site. So you see all of the things at the bottom, the advertisements where it say, click on this, you may be approved, you could be approved, click and see. Every time, and that's the reason why they're able to offer their services for free. And that's because every time you click on a link, they get paid. And so if you get approved or if you don't get approved, as long as you click on those links, then you get, they get paid. If you get approved on one of the links that you clicked on from them, they get paid.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Regina.
Regina.
Jeanette, did you talk about me bad, sweetie?
I didn't talk about you bad, but your ears must have been ringing. We were having some technical difficulties.
Issues.
Oh, okay.
You weren't here with
Hello. Is it? Tell me your name, Shani.
Shanae.
Shanae. Okay.
Think of Martin. Shanae. Think of Martin.
No. All right, Shanae. I've got some questions.
I'm ready. Give it to me.
Okay. So tell me the 5. So where do you get the best FICO score? Did she already answer this?
No.
What do you mean, where?
So because the FICO score is what's used.
Yes.
So the FICO score, where do you access that information?
That's what we were talking about that. And so I don't think you actually told us where to go yet, right?
Yeah. So the best place to get it is actually myfico.com. And that is because with myFICO, they give you the different models. So you have access to your mortgage FICO score, your automobile FICO score, your credit card FICO score. They give you everything. And I want to say the cost for that, for everything, I want to say is about maybe between $40 and $45 a month for that information.
You have to subscribe, or can you just get it one time if you want?
You can get it one time, but then the thing is, next month, if someone goes and applies for credit, how will you know?
Got you. Okay.
You know, and so what I tell my clients is a lot of times they're like, oh my goodness, that's, you know, so much. And my thing is, if you have, honestly, if you have, you know, undesirable credit, nobody is really, you know, looking to steal your credit. However, if you have credit that you want to protect, you definitely want to pay to protect that, you know, that credit score. Now, a lot of different credit cards and banks, they give you, like Navy Federal gives you your FICO score. They only give you information from one report, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say it's Experian, but they do give you your FICO score. However, your credit score and your credit report is so important. Um, and it's individualized. It's just like, you know, your heartbeat. Like, you want to do any and everything you can do to protect it. It's just like with anything. It's hard to, like, once you achieve that level, or even if you're working on it, or just period, once you get there, it's hard to get, but it can be gone in a heartbeat. And with credit monitoring, at least you know, and you can protect yourself, because as soon as something happens on your credit, as soon as you make an inquiry, as soon as something, you know, appears on your credit report, you are notified instantly. And a lot of times that is the amount of time it takes for you to, you know, to combat it, versus checking your credit report once a year, or anything like that, or, you know, every quarter or what have you. The more you know, the better, you know, you are equipped to handle anything. It's kind of like insurance. You know, you don't need insurance until you need insurance. And it's like, if I known, then I would have been able to do that. Or I have so many clients that come to me and say, well, that's not mine. How did that get on there? I knew nothing about it. But if you protect yourself, you know, in the beginning, you can combat it. And then that way, you know, you don't have any surprises or anything. And like I tell, you know, people, cyber criminals are about 100 steps ahead of us. It's unbelievable. Like, the things that they do, um, it's just like out of this world. And not even like, because everything, you know, is found on the internet, and like, it helps us, but then again, it hurts us. Like, one of my colleagues, he has a brick and mortar credit repair business down in Florida. And this was like last year. So, you know, he is incorporated. He has his list of, you know, officers and everything. What happened is, the cyber criminals, they got a hold of his information because it's public. They added themselves to his officer list for his company, right? Luckily, you know, any changes that were made, you know, he was contacted as the business owner, but he didn't really understand, you know, what was going on. I'm going to come down to the, you know, Department of Records, and I'm going to handle this and everything else. But this is how fast they operate. The next day, after they added their names, the next day they found out his business credit, his business credit for phone service was Verizon or AT&T. They went to AT&T and applied, and, you know, said, we wanted to put these 5 brand new iPhones on our company account. Here's my paperwork. And here's my ID. I am listed. I am an officer for this company.
Wow.
So while he's at the Department of Records trying to get everything situated, they're at AT&T purchasing 5 brand new iPhone 11s at the time so that they could sell them. So what happened is, because it was such a large purchase, they told them, we can't let you leave the store with them. However, we will deliver them to your place of business tomorrow. Not a problem. They went there, and they gave them a tracking number. I'm able to track and know where my package is, when it's going to be delivered, the time frame. They waited in the parking lot, and as the FedEx truck was pulling up, the guy stayed in the car. The girl went to inside the building and everything, because she tried to meet him at the door, and he said, well, we have to take care of this inside of the facility. She went there and inside the facility. The guy actually got out at that time, and he preoccupied the person that was working in the store. So she's signing her name to get the packages. Luckily, the owner was coming in the door, and he was like, what's going on? Who are you? And she was like, nothing, nothing. She left. She was trying to leave. He stopped, and he was like, well, why are you receiving packages here? Luckily, he was able to, interrupt everything. But had he not, taken the necessary precautions, his company would have been, out of a bunch of money and everything else. So they think so much ahead of us. It's unbelievable. And so if they did this to a business, imagine what they can do to us, the average consumer, the average individual.
Yeah, we just saw on the news how someone used the governor and some of the other people's information
to get unemployment.
For unemployment. So we already know people are just desperate, if nothing else, here. So good point.
Look, I have another question.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
and we have some questions from our audience.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. So tell me about the pandemic and how that is affecting credit, because I know that there are credit card companies, your car payment, people are allowing you to delay, to skip a payment, to don't ask me how I know, I'm just giving information. But anyway, they're allowing you to do all of these things. How is that affecting credit?
Well, what it does is, as long as you communicate with your creditor and fill out any paperwork that they have you to fill out, make sure you make copies for your own records, and you find out what the terms are. That it doesn't necessarily mean that the payments are going to be forgiven. They could be put on the back burner. A lot of companies in the beginning, they were like extending it for 3 months, and then you can go on. My thing is, if you can afford to make your payments, continue to make your payments, because as you see, we utilize credit every single day. So, people are still purchasing homes. People are still purchasing cars. People are still getting approved, for credit cards and for loans and everything else. And like the small business loans that they were giving out, they're not just giving them out to you because of the pandemic. Your credit still had to be in order. You still had to make sure that you had your ducks in a row. And so if you're still able, to pay your bills on time, then definitely you want to do that, because you don't want to get in a lax state where as though it's like, okay, well, I haven't had to pay this bill, in 9 months. It's going to be kind of difficult now. So if you are able to maintain, then definitely maintain. Now, if you definitely, need to make a lower payment, or you need to skip a payment, you definitely want to communicate that with your creditor to find out what's the deal, what's the terms, am I paying more interest? How is this going to affect me? Is it going to make it longer? Or, what can I do so that I don't fall out of, good standing with you guys? Because whenever this is over, you're still going to need your credit.
Right. And you're still going to have to pay the money back.
Exactly.
But are they negatively are they reporting us as a negative if you had to take advantage of any of that?
Not if you had to take advantage of it. Now, there are folks that are just assuming
that
this affects me, and they're not communicating. And that's why I say always make sure you keep your paperwork. So whatever they have you to sign, whatever emails it is, and anything you send them, blind copy yourself, send it back to you. Having too much documentation is always better than not having enough. But as long as you communicate with them, and if they say 3 months, that doesn't mean 4 months. It doesn't mean 5 months, because then it can come back and definitely bite you. So you definitely, want to communicate, but it's not affecting you negatively as long as you communicate with them.
Okay, I'm going to ask some questions from our audience. The first one is, how often should I be checking my credit?
At a minimum every month. But if you have the credit monitoring, A lot of times, if anything different happens, you'll get an email, you'll get a text message if you sign up for those notifications. So definitely at a minimum every month, but sign up for credit monitoring. And if anything deems your credit, anything out of the, whatever it is, even if it is something that you do, you'll still get an email stating that this was done.
Okay. Our next question, I think you kind of answered this.
I have a question.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Jeanette.
Oh, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
What if you've had some credit missteps and need to repair? How do you do that?
Call me.
All right.
No, but listen.
That's when you make that phone call to Robinson.
You definitely like when I was younger, I thought that, oh my goodness, I messed up. Well, in the beginning, I thought, oh, well, I don't need credit. I can get it when I need it, whatever. I'm 20, whatever, whatever. And then as I got older and I started getting denied for different things and everything, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, how can I get out of this? I'll never, be able to, because it's just, snowballing and everything else. You can definitely fix your credit, repair your credit. Now, what I explain to my clients is that credit repair is not removing negative items from your credit report. Credit repair is removing incorrect items from your credit report. However, 9 times out of 10, your credit report has errors. And what happens is, as I fight and dispute to have the incorrect items removed, the incorrect item 9 times out of 10 is connected to a negative item. And that's how the negative item comes off. So you don't unlawfully say this account is not mine, this account is not mine. That's fraud. But what you do say is this account is incorrect because of this, and this. What happens is, I used to think that, oh my goodness, it's on my credit report, so it has to stay on there because they said it has to stay on there for 7 to 10 years, so forth and so on. They put it on there, it has to be there. What happens is, it's not written in stone, and it can be removed before the time frame that they say, because the information that they choose to report has to be accurate. By law, your creditors do not have to report your payment amount, your debt. They don't have to report anything to the credit reporting agencies. However, since they choose to, the information that you guys report, Toyota Credit, Comcast, Verizon, since you choose to report this information to the credit reporting agencies, the information that you report needs to be accurate. And so all 3 of the credit bureaus, the big 3, everything they say, oh, this information is reported accurate. This information is reported accurate. Well, if 2 of them have the same information and one of them has something different, but all 3 are reporting accurate, how can that be? And it's not a matter of the majority rules, so this is what it is. It's a fact of somebody has something different for the same account. So it has to come off by law, because it's not up to us to decipher who's telling the truth and who's not telling the truth. It's inaccurate information. Therefore, it has to come off.
Awesome.
And so that's what credit repair is.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that, but that's really
Got it.
cool. Okay, we have a couple more questions.
Okay.
This one, like I said, I think you answered this, but if you can go over it again. What's the difference between FICO score and the Vantage score?
Collections.
Right. Okay.
It's that one additional scoring component, and FICO does not give you credit for collections. And let me just say this also: you never want to pay a collection account ever. And the reason being is because Paying a collection account, one, does not help your credit score. Two, I owe Verizon. I didn't owe ABC collection agency.
Mhm.
After 120 days, Verizon was made whole because they took it as a loss and they reported it to their insurance company. So they were made whole. So that debt was paid. It wasn't paid by me, but it was paid. Collection agencies or a person with a computer goes out into the internet and they buy so many tons of, debt for pennies on a dollar.
Right.
And especially around tax time and New Year's, you'll see so many letters coming in because why? People are like, the beginning of the year, I'm going to get myself together. I'm going to get my credit straight. I'm going to pay this debt. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And so forth and so on. And they know that. They know the trends. And so if they purchase my $1,000 debt from Verizon for $5, and then they give me a deal and say you only have to give us $750, and I say to myself, oh my goodness, that's a deal. They just made $745 off of a debt that they had nothing to do with, and they didn't do anything. I don't owe you. Prove to me that I owe ABC Corporation. I don't. So you have no right to come after this money. Verizon was made whole. You're a third party. Why should I pay you? And then they don't even have the ability to remove it from your credit report. So it's not even like they can say, you pay this money and we'll remove this from your credit report. It's going to go from saying collection to pay collection, which to a potential creditor is still negative. Because it's telling them, Shanae did not, it was a collection. And even if it's a paid collection, if it's a collection, it's saying Shanae did not pay this debt within 120 days. For 120 days, they contacted her, she didn't pay. A paid collection is going to say Shanae finally paid, but it was after 120 days. She didn't pay the original creditor. She paid the debt collection agency. It's still a negative. Paying a collection, in my opinion, all it does is remove the money from your pocketbook. It does not help you at all.
Oh, go ahead, Cara. I know you got questions in the chat because I want to go deeper on this part right here.
All right.
Because I bet a lot of people don't know. Go ahead.
That was really
That was really
That's
good.
very
I bet a
informative.
lot of people don't know that about not paying collection agencies. That is probably the best news of the night.
that was a golden
Right.
And look, and I want to go a little deeper on that, but go ahead and ask the questions from
Okay,
the.
here's one more question from the audience.
Okay.
What are the implications when you freeze your credit? Pros and cons.
Well, the pro is it's not really any cons. The only con is that when you go and apply for credit, you'll either have to call the credit reporting agency and have them to unlock your credit, or you'll have to put in a code to let them know that it's actually you applying for credit. And across the board, it protects you. And so all you have to do is freeze your credit report you just contact one of the credit reporting agencies, and then they'll contact the other two. So you only have to contact one and let them know. And then the other two will automatically be, made updated. And so it can be a hindrance to a degree if like you're pressed for time or like, because it lasts for a year automatically unless you remove it. But, if you forget about it, and then it's like they come back and say, hey, it's a freeze on it, you have to do this or something like that. But in my opinion, it's not any con whatsoever. It's a protection mechanism, and it's free. It's free to do.
Okay. All right, Regina, have at it.
Okay, so if we're not paying, okay, well, so what do we do with the collections and how do we get them off our report?
Dispute them and call me so that I can do it.
All right.
There are letters that you can send to dispute it off. And it doesn't come off automatically because the credit, the collection agencies, they are taught to be vicious. They are taught different
They are
techniques to
vicious.
scare you, to intimidate you, to belittle you, because a lot of us don't know our rights. And so it's been, numerous amount of people that have, once they, started repairing credit and everything for their clients, were able to coach their clients to go to court to actually sue against the collection agencies. And every time a collection agency violates you after, certain things are put in place, that's $1,000 for every violation. So you do have rights. But what they do is they use so many forms of different, in intimidation, that it's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and pay it and just be done with it. That's
Right.
what they want you to do. That's just like with the credit reporting agencies, the credit reports that you get in the mail. When you get your full report, it's like confusing, it's long, it's a pain in the butt. They devise it like that so that the average consumer gets so frustrated. It's like, you know what? I'm done with it. Whatever. I done bought my house. I done bought my car. Whatever. I don't need no credit cards. I'll deal with it. Whatever. They devise it like that.
Look, Shanae, it's funny. I'm like looking around because I'm in my office because I have my credit reports right here. And I'm like, where are they? Where are they? Because Shanae was like, they're confusing. So, and what you said, Shanae, to go back to what you said, collections isn't in the FICO score, right? So they don't
paying them
so they
doesn't
don't
help.
hold it. So that's why would you pay? They don't hold it against you?
Well, what it is,
Right?
it lowers, it's held against you if it's on your report because it's a negative.
Okay.
But even when you pay it, it's still
doesn't
a negative.
Right.
It doesn't help your score to go up at all. It's still a negative. So the best bet is to dispute it off and have it removed from your report.
So I have another question.
Go ahead,
So
Jeanette.
how do you improve your credit score? How do you improve it?
So what you do is you want to have your usage down. The rule of thumb is to have your usage at 30% or lower. What I teach my clients is to have your usage at maybe 10% of your available credit, your available revolving credit.
Ooh.
Okay? And that the reason being I say 10% is because when it's not if an emergency is going to happen, it's when an emergency is going to happen.
Right.
And a lot of times we turn to our credit cards. However, if that water heater goes up, if those 4 flat tires are gone and you need to put that on your credit card, if you're at 10% of your credit usage, when you take care of that emergency, 9 times out of 10, you're still under 30%. So that emergency has not affected you negatively.
Good point.
That's a very,
great point.
very good point. Go ahead.
Well, I just had another question. We try to make this show generational. So what would you suggest for young people to establish credit, especially in this day and age? What are some tips that will be safe for them to establish credit?
Yeah, and before you answer that, just want to piggyback on that, because I think you even said in the beginning, it's not conversations that our parents may have had with us.
Mm-hmm.
So important for young people as well as parents talking to their children also about establishing credit.
That's it. And what you want to do is if you as a parent, and I have some more for you, Jeanette, too, about raising your credit score. But if you as a parent and you have relatively decent credit, you want to add your children on as an authorized user. So say for instance, if you have one good credit card that you have never been late on or anything, you want to add your kids to anything that is positive for you. Now remember, if you were ever had a late payment or had high usage or whatever, you don't want to add them to that because that automatically becomes theirs. So
Wow.
you want something that has been positive since the beginning of you having it, right? And what that does is even no matter what their age is, you can put them on your credit as an authorized user at any age, as long as they have a social, you can put them on. And that's going to help them to build up, their credit as well. They have recently passed a bill, I think it's called the Card Act, whereas though it makes it harder for 18 to 21-year-olds that are just going to college and everything to be approved for credit cards. You definitely want to have conversations with your kids about that. You want to have them while you're, paying a mortgage, paying whatever, to sit down with you, to let them know that the money does not just automatically appear on the card that you stick in the machine. They have so many different cards like now for children, like the green light and things like that helps them to manage a lot better. You want to have the conversation with them and explain to them, yeah, money doesn't grow on trees, but this is how money works. So that way it kind of like prepares them. There was a bank manager down in Atlanta, and what she did is she put her daughter on her car payment and one of her credit cards, right? She put her daughter on there when she was like maybe 16. So at 18, her daughter graduated and everything, and they went to like one of the high rises down in Atlanta. And her mother said, fill out an application. And she was like, what? Like, are you putting me out? Like, what's going on? She was like, fill out an application. The daughter filled out the application. And, when they came back, they said, when do you want to move in? The daughter was like, move in? They were like, yes, when do you want to move in? She had an 820 credit score. She did not have to show proof of funds, and she was able to rent wherever she wanted to go. And of course, the mother was like, this is just to show you the power of credit. Like, this is what credit can get for you. And, a lot of people say, well, let me get back to you, Jeanette. So you want to, your debt to income ratio, you want to at least have it at 30% at the maximum. You really don't want to have it anything like over 25%, but 30% is the rule of thumb. You don't want to apply for a lot of credit. Creditors love to give money to people who look like they don't need credit. When you go and apply for this card and that loan, they like, wait a minute, what's she doing? Why is she applying for all of this stuff? They love to give money to people who look like they don't need it. And you definitely want to pay your bills, on time. And even though on your credit report, they only show you a 2-year span, your credit that account is going to report for up to 10 years, even though they only show it in 2-year increments. It's going to report for up to 10 years of that. And just because you paid off like a credit card or whatever, you don't necessarily want to close that account, because that will take away your credit history. Your credit history makes up like 30% of your credit score. So that's like 150 some odd points, if I'm not mistaken, because your credit score is a range of 300 to 550. You have 550 points to play around with. If you know how to work those 550 points, then you're good. Just like I said, 10% of your credit score is made up from your inquiries. So if you don't do any inquiries, that's 55 points that you got, right? If you pay all your bills on time, that's 192.5 points that you got. So when you know how to work your credit score and you know what you need to do for each category, then that's how you're going to build your score up to that 850.
Are there times when you do want to close your accounts? Like, what if you have like 8, I'm just making this up, 8 credit cards and you paid off some of them? Isn't that too many? I'm asking, is that too many to have open? Or like if you had like some, I don't know, K Jewelers or Bloomingdale's or something like that, like a retailer account, and you pay that off, do you still want to leave that on your credit report, or should you close those small accounts? What if you got
If it's your oldest account,
so oldest, so you go
if
by
it's
date.
your oldest,
So go by
you
date.
want to keep it, because say for instance, like if you had a K Jewelers that you got in 1999,
Right.
but then you have this American Express that you got in 2018. You're like, I don't need the K Jewelers because I can put everything on this American Express. You close that up, it looks like you only have 2 years of credit history. She don't know what she's doing. She a
Okay.
newbie. She
Right.
ain't had credit that long.
Ah,
Gotcha. Okay. Good point. Good point. I
So
see.
your oldest account, and a lot of times, sometimes, even if it's negative, if it's your oldest account, you don't want to close it because your history, your credit history is 30 points. I mean, 30%. So even if it's negative, you may not want to close it out.
Gotcha. Okay. So
Because that's like 150 some odd points that you'll be getting rid of.
okay. So keep the
and
old.
they also, some vendors will close your account out
If you don't use them.
if it's not
And-
used.
And this is the reason why. A lot of times when we get approved for a credit card, we're like, yes, I got approved for a credit card. Yes. They need you more than you need them. Credit card companies need us to stay in business.
Mhm.
If we're not using their credit card, they gonna close it. Why? Because you're not using it. You ain't making me no money. I can't charge you interest.
Well, does that affect our credit scores when that happens?
It will, because now your available credit limit has gone down. And so that's going to change your debt to income ratio and your usage.
Well, what
So
about?
That's right.
listen, you know Robin from T-Row. Robin Beck.
Yeah. Yep.
Robin Beck has a $20,000 American Express credit card. She has an 820 credit score. She has a $10 magazine subscription coming out of that American Express every month that she pays off. And that card is still active. She still got $20,000 worth of credit and an 820 credit score.
I got a question. Okay, so what if your credit card company extends your credit even more? They're like, okay, she's spending a lot on here. I'm gonna give her even more money to spend. Should you call them and tell them take it back down or leave it where it is, or how's that work? What's
Because one, they've already checked your credit to make sure that they can extend it, right? To make sure that your credit score is fine. So they've already checked your credit. If they give you more credit, so say for instance, your available credit is 5,000, and that's across all of your revolving credit cards, right? It's $5,000. And say for instance, you've used across all of them 2,500. So now your your usage is 50%, which is over the 30%, which is actually lowered your credit score. But now, if your credit card company calls you and extends your credit to 10,000, so now you have that higher amount. Your usage is gone down. It's still a 2,500, but because you got so much more available credit, your credit score has now shot up.
Gotcha. Okay.
So to go back to piggyback on that. So if you had high usage, because I imagine that many people in this pandemic probably are way over the 30% because they are, trying to make it, I mean, so they have high usage and they have had high usage for a while, right? They get the stimulus check or they get some sort of massive amount of money, and so what should they do in order to get their credit score to go up? If they have had high usage, should they get that usage down by paying those credit cards off?
If you pay it,
Paying them all off?
at least pay it to 30%
Okay.
usage. Once you pay it down, then you'll see your score shoot up in the next cycle. Now, the thing is too that if you have 5 revolving credit cards, right? You want to have overall 30% or lower usage across the 5. But you also want to have 30% or lower individually.
Okay.
Because say for instance, if you have one card maxed out, but you're still under that 30% usage for all of the cards, that one card that's maxed out is going to hurt you because it's showing 100% usage. So you want to have 30% low or lower across the board, but then you also want to have it per individual card as well.
So usage, so that usage number, that 30% or lower, will bump up your credit score if you are able to
Pay it down.
Pay it down to at least the 30% or lower.
And then just buy a magazine subscription.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, Marsha.
I'm just like, who knew? Like, you don't think about that stuff. Just buy a magazine subscription. Like what? That's crazy.
And then also what you want to do is you want to know when your credit card is due, your credit card payment is due, but then you also need to know when your statement closes.
Because that
and the reason being, and that's the extra, it'll give you a boost in your credit if you pay by your credit, by your due date, 2 to 3 days before your due date. But then also if you can make another payment 2 to 3 days before your statement closes. Because whatever the amount is that you owe when your statement closes, that's what you're going to be charged interest on. That's the amount that's going to be reported to the credit bureaus, the credit reporting agencies, and everything else. So if you can make another payment, even if it's just a couple of dollars or whatever, to help you to lower, and what that'll do is it'll help your usage to be reported lower also.
Yeah, usage is a big thing.
Usage is a huge thing. It's actually like 15%. And so it's your payment history, the length of credit, the amount of credit, and then your mix of credit and your inquiries. That's your FICO score.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry. Usage, payment history.
It's your payment history. It's your length of credit. It's your usage, your utilization. It's your mix of credit. And it's your inquiries.
That's how my
credit. For Vantage, it's your collections.
Oh, it's your history, your usage, inquiries, mix of credit. Got it.
Got it. And what do you also have the percentages? You said usage was like about 15%.
Usage, I want to say it's like 15. History, your length, your payment history is 35. Ooh. Your length is 30. Your usage is 15. Your inquiries and your mix is 10.
Wow. 10 each?
Yes.
Okay, that's very.
And so this is what you do. This is how much you know. This is how you figure out in each category the amount of points. So, like I said, it's 550 points that you have to play around with that they make up. So what you do is you take your 35%, which is your history. You take that, your payment history, you take that 35% and you multiply that, by the 550. And it's going to tell you how many points are in that section.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good information to know.
That's great.
And so now, and like when you miss one payment, one 30-day late can drop your score up to 40 points. It can affect your credit score for 9 months. And that's just one 30-day late, right? If you get a 60-day late, it can affect your credit score for 5 years, 3 years. And if you get a 90-day, that can affect you for up to 7 years. And that's just on one account. That's not on 2 or 3 accounts. That's just one account.
Shanae, I do want to ask you, what do you think? Are there people, are there Congress people, is there legislation that's advocating? Because I imagine in the pandemic, and I hate to keep going back to this, but I feel like this is very real for people, right? Of what the credit card companies, or not the credit card companies, but the credit reporting agencies are, what are they going to do in terms of relief for people in this pandemic? Because just like you said, I know this for a fact because of clients that I dealt with. Your credit score did not allow, even if you applied for a small business loan, the economic injury disaster loan, or the PPP or whatever, if your credit score was a certain amount, you were not getting that loan.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, well, golly, income. I mean, I was like, this is supposed to be disaster relief. This is supposed to help you, like, you know, and maybe if you inquired at the beginning of the pandemic, my credit score was one thing. But if I applied for the loan later on in the pandemic, now I haven't been able to pay bills for 3 months.
Right.
So now I'm in a different situation. So I just want to ask you about that. I'm sorry.
So with that, if you didn't qualify for the loan, then most likely you got the $1,000 grant, which you don't have to pay back. And what it is your credit report. So the credit reporting agencies, they are not really offering any type of relief because they are just the reporting agencies. We just report what your creditors tell us. So that's why it's important to communicate with your creditors, right? But your credit report tells a story. It tells them how you pay your bills, when you pay your bills, if you pay your bills. And even though it's with the, the pandemic is going on and it's, quote unquote worse, if you didn't pay your bills before the pandemic, I can't say that you're going to pay your bills during the pandemic or after the pandemic. So we're going to give you this $1,000 and you do whatever it is you want to do with it. I'm not asking for it back. It's yours. You can play with it, destroy it, build with it, whatever. I don't even care. But you take this $1,000 and this responsible person, I'm going to give them $30,000. I'm going to give them $200,000 or what have you. The way so what I explain to my clients too, because before, I got into repairing my credit and learning about credit, I always thought, well, why do I have to pay $500 for a car when this person is only paying $200? I'm the one that needs help because I am the one that struggled with paying my bills. If this person has excellent credit and they can afford to pay it, why don't they pay $500 and I pay $200? Because they are in business to make money. My credit report tells a story. And so the story that it was telling about me paying my bills is that Shanae gets approved. She gonna pay that bill on time for a year. After a year, she start missing payments. She start whatever, she default whatever. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna approve Shanae with the intentions of knowing that we got to get all our money back in that year. because that's what her track record shows. She paid for that first year.
Yep.
So what they do is they devise the interest payments, whereas though they get the bulk of their money back in that year because they know based on my credit and my track record, I'm gonna do everything in my power to pay that loan back in the first, the first year. After that, I'm gonna start missing payments. I'm gonna start whatever. It's gonna go into collections and so forth and so on. So they make my interest rate to the point of them being able to get the majority of their money back in that year. And when I default, because that's what my track record has shown, they don't care. Because after 120 days, they're going to take it as a loss. They're going to be made whole again, and she's going to have to deal with it on her credit.
I have another question. One of the questions is, how do you keep the interest down on payments?
Pay your bills.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think that, I was gonna say, I think the example that Shanae gave was just really perfect. I mean, I can, I'm sure we all have some, stories, good, bad, or indifferent, but I remember a time when what credit wasn't good and I had to go apply for credit and the interest was so high. And then and so over time you understand why that is. I mean, I have a girlfriend, she's like, my husband can go in and they're like, he has 1% interest. And she's like, he won't sign anything with me because she's messed her credit up so poorly. He's like, I'm not doing no business with you until you get your credit right.
That's it.
So, I think we have those stories, and that's it. If you pay, you pay your stuff on time, ahead of time. But there's a lot of other little pearls that you're giving us that.
Oh yeah,
I'm speaking for myself. I just didn't know.
Yeah, they are good. Great.
So this is a question for the professional credit diva. Can someone hire you if they live out of state?
Yes, they can. 443-973-7555. I do 30-minute complimentary consultations because what I do is I go over your credit report with you to show you what's on your report, to explain it to you, to let you see what the story is that they're telling, about you. And like I tell people, I don't, dispute and say this isn't my report, this isn't, my account, except for with my dad, because it really wasn't his, but he didn't know until I started working on, his credit. But so much stuff is on your credit report that you may not even be made aware of. And so what I do is, like I tell folks, I am the professional credit diva. It is me. I am customer service. I love what I do. I love for people, especially people that look like me, to achieve a 750 or higher credit score, because with a 750 or higher credit score, you can do what you need to do, what you have to do, but you can also do what you want to do. And my job is education, because I didn't really receive it. And so my passion, my goal is to actually get to the children in high school before they need me. But I explain to you every step of the way what's on your credit report. I fix credit. I send the letters. I left T. Rowe Price to do this full time. I love it. And what I love about actually doing it, I don't outsource or anything, because your goals and dreams become my goals and dreams, first of all. Second of all, I'm able to hold you accountable and say, Q, now you said you wanted to buy a house in a year. Why did you go and apply for this credit card? I love the fact that I can be your accountability partner as well, and ask you, this is what we doing, what's happening, and take a vested interest in each and every one of my clients. Because money issues, credit issues, financial issues are the number one stress causer in a lot of relationship, households, communities and everything. And if I can relieve some form of stress in somebody's life by helping them to fix their credit, or to help them, to get approved for a home or a car, or just to be debt free, then that is really what, brings me joy, because that's one person that, you know, I was able to help, to teach, to educate, and then they can go out and do it themselves if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, changing generations.
That's
Okay.
it.
Our phone
Say
number one more
say
time.
your number
I need
again.
your- I need your phone number one more time.
Yeah.
People asking for
It's
it.
443-973-7555. And if you just text your first name and say with complimentary consultation, then I'll send a link for you to schedule your complimentary consultation with me.
Awesome. Anybody?
I like how, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, I like how you said that your credit tells a story. I think that's a nice way for us to look at it.
Yeah.
You know, so that we get it differently, you know,
Mhm.
we understand it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you write your own story. Don't let them be in control. You write your own story. And you can definitely do that, especially once you understand what's required, you know, what's being said, and actually, you know, how to write it. You know, once you have that outline, then you know what you need to do. Once you know how many points you have in each category, then you know how to build up those points. And so, like with credit, the mix of credit, they want you to have mortgage, you know, revolving, installment, and everything else. However, the installment, which are like, you know, your regular loans where the loan payment is the same every month, that does not help you to build credit as fast as revolving credit. And that's because the revolving credit, the monthly payment changes. And so it's like, okay, so she was able to pay it when it was $25. How is she going to pay it? You know, how does she react now that it's $250 versus something that is kind of like automatic with an installment? So, not saying go out and get a bunch of revolving, you know, credit debt, but you build credit faster with revolving debt versus installment debt.
Just wanted to share a little story real quick that I grew up with the father who worked at Bethlehem Steel forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
My dad was always like, I pay for everything in cash. I've done this, I've done that, blah, blah, blah. He thought that was the way. So, you know, he taught me things and blah, 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 whatever. And I learned, unfortunately, I'm glad to hear that there's a bill out for college students because my first problems were all these credit card offers when I was in college. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a job and you giving me credit cards, but I didn't know any better. I'm
Right.
taking credit cards and I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I had to go through bankruptcy afterwards and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, learning through divorce and some other stuff and all that stuff. So I will tell y'all that I learned to teach my daughter differently. My daughter knew how to write checks and all that other kind of stuff. She'll be 24 next week. Can I tell you, her and her husband, they have 2 properties and rental properties.
Amen.
He drives a Corvette. He's got a second Corvette being ordered, and she drives a daggone Lincoln looking at the Tesla. No co-signers on nothing.
That's it.
We
That's
talk
it. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah.
I love it.
generation how to do it. Yeah.
What I like to tell people, because like I had a girlfriend, and you know, like I said, growing up, we were taught use cash. Don't carry that debt. If you can afford it, use cash, use cash. Think of it like this. This is how I explain to people who are, you know, stuck on using cash. When they used to say having no credit is worse than having bad credit, I didn't understand it. But it's like this because they don't have anything to measure you by. And so it's hard. What I explained to my girlfriend is you not using credit or even like paying off your debt, your credit card bill to zero. It doesn't really help you a lot. You need to carry some form of debt because I need to see how responsible you are with debt. So think of it like this. If you invite me to your house and you say, Sinead, come on over, and I come over to your house and it's spick and span spotless every time I come to your house, I don't know if you actually live there or if you just invite me to this model home and this is where we meet each and every time. But if I come to your house one day and the dishes is in the sink and I come the next day and the dishes are gone, the kitchen is clean, then I know that you're responsible enough to clean up. that's how they look at using cash versus using credit.
Awesome. All right. Well, this has been eye-opening completely. You've given us so much information, Shanae.
I
So
love it.
we are so
I don't think I've ever been this quiet on a show.
I
Because
know.
I'm like,
I don't think you have either, Jeanette. Look, and I don't think I asked so many, but I asked so many questions. So obviously this show was for me.
Yes.
Late and all.
I think it was for all of us.
I'm
Yeah,
so glad, ladies. I love it.
So
Oh
Shanae,
my goodness.
at this point in our show, we usually like to share the African American owned female business, and you are our business. So can you tell us more about your company, your services? You told us a lot, but if there's anything else you want to share about how this all works or anything at all that you want to share, we would love to hear that at this point.
Thank you, ladies. I loved it. I love you guys, your energy. It just gave me life. My business, my company, the Professional Credit Diva, was established in 2017 because I needed to understand and get my credit, fixed. And I didn't just want to get it fixed to get something. I wanted to get it fixed to do what I needed to do, to be able to live. And so, I tell people, for me, diva means doing it very aggressively. So no matter what it is you want in life, you have to be a diva about it and do it very aggressively, because nobody's going to give it to you. You have to go after it. And so once I got, to understand credit, because I honestly didn't know that the average individual could open up their own credit repair company. So when I joined different groups in Facebook and I learned that out, and I fixed my dad's credit. He had never had perfect credit. And once I was able to, do the trial and error and fix his credit, and got him a 794 credit score, something he has never seen in his life. And he was able to get approved with Navy Federal the first time for a credit card for, $11,700. I was like, that is so awesome. And if I can alleviate, like I said, stress from anybody, that's my passion. And like I said, I left T. Rowe Price to focus on this full time, because if I didn't know, think of how many other people, did not know. And my main goal is to, yes, be in business to make money. However, I don't want returning clients. I want client referrals. So my job is to educate, our community, and also, talk about the things that, America isn't really talking about, and talk about it on our level. Like, I am a little bit ghetto, I am a little bit bougie, but when you finish talking to me, you're going to understand, and I'm going to make it so easy that you don't even have to second guess. Also, what I wanted to say in closing out, whenever you apply for a credit card, you never want to apply for a credit card that does not reward you in some type of way. If the credit card does not reward you, you do not want them, because like I said, they need us more than we need them. So if you're not giving me no type of reward, I don't want your services. You got to give me something for gas, for groceries, points, or something.
Awesome. Yeah. That is awesome. Okay, so once again, can you give us your contact information?
Yes. My direct number is 443-973-7555. And my website is theprofessionalcreditdiva.com. Okay. And for a 30-minute complimentary consultation, just text your first name along with the words complimentary consultation, and I'll send you the scheduling link for you to schedule to spend some time with me via Zoom.
And once again, you said it doesn't matter what state you're in, you can be anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
People out. So it's not like you have to be in Maryland.
Nope.
You can be anywhere.
You can be anywhere.
Okay.
This was wonderful, I have to say.
Thank
I had to get out a notebook and take some notes. Keep my mouth shut and take notes. This was good. And I will call you, Shanae.
Thank you, ladies. I enjoyed my time. Cara, thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Look, we say every week that we just hope that we can be a blessing to someone. But we are always, always, always blessed on the calls that, you know, the participants on the actual call. So we hope that
Amen.
to be a blessing to somebody out there. And you truly, I mean, I have so many notes. I took so many notes, it's not even funny. But
Thank you. I love it. I love credit. Believe it or not, I love it. That's like how I was in high school. I couldn't believe that I loved accounting, but I love it. And like I said, once you understand how it works, you'll love it too. You'll start doing things to see what I can do to raise my credit score. How high can I get it this time? What is it going to be? Let me do this. Let me pay this off and see how high I can shoot it.
yeah, and my hope is that these conversations, like we've said tonight, will become common conversations that we all have amongst ourselves. It
Yes.
won't be just that we just happen to have this tonight, that people will start talking about this commonly and talk with our
Yes.
children about it so that
Our children and grandchildren, yeah.
Yes.
so, you know, I have always said I'm very blessed that my parents shared a lot of information with me as I was, you know, growing up, especially so that I wouldn't fear credit. But I still learned so much tonight on how to maximize credit. I don't care as much. We still need to keep sharing information amongst each other.
Definitely.
Yes.
There's still so much to learn. So thank you so very much. I want to thank
Thank you, ladies.
for being
Thank you.
This has been so powerful. And hopefully, and if you're out there on Facebook watching us, please share this on your page too. So you
Yes.
can share it. We want to get this message out to as many people as possible. So
Absolutely.
everybody share this live with your friends and family, your Facebook friends and family. And just, we are so thankful. And
Thank you, ladies. You guys blessed me. Thank you so much.
awesome, awesome. You are welcome to come back anytime, Shanae. So
Whenever I'm available, any Thursday, yes.
so
As long as I don't have the grandkids.
oh, they probably know just as much about credit at this point. They might
my granddaughter does. She told me, she's 9 now. She was like, Mama, when you get old, I'm gonna become the professional credit diva. Yes, you can, sweetie.
I love it.
That's great.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Take care.
Thank you, Shanae.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow.
That was awesome.
Tell her about some collection item. That's my realness.
I think we're still on Facebook.
We're still on Facebook.
Yeah,
and
you're still